and you're watching NDTV Profit.
As information becomes more and more relevant to businesses and corporates around the world, it is companies like EMC tapping this huge booming opportunity, making sure that information is not just relevant but used more effectively by businesses. Our guest today on Boss's Day Out is indeed Manoj Chugh, President of India and SAC for EMC. Hello Manoj, how are you? Thanks so much for joining us on the show. That is indeed Manoj Chugh, President India and SAC of EMC, joining us on Boss's Day Out today.
A very good morning. Welcome. I'd like to introduce you to my wife Kiran.
Hello ma'am, Supriya from NDTV. Thanks so much for having you on the show.
Welcome to all of you.
I see Lord Ganesha here and I see the Diya lit. So who's really the most spiritual of the two of you? Who does this really every day?
I like the Diya and put some flowers every day, but actually both of us are believers, and this is a normal everyday habit for me.
That's right. It's just so important to believe in things. Now, you know, you've told me you want to make my resolve stronger to stay fit.
Yes.
So let's just get on to it.
Yes, absolutely. And there are two things which we like to do. Go for long walks.
Yes.
It relaxes us and we just love doing it ever so often. And the second is yoga.
Yes.
I took to yoga a while ago. I'm not an expert, but I try and do that as often as I can. And of course, when I'm traveling, I go to the gym. But I don't have a gym at home, but certainly I can do yoga. And you can do yoga wherever you are. So why don't you follow me, join me, and maybe we'll try a few asanas.
Great. There he is. He's resolved completely to inspire me today to join him in yoga. I'm not going to do that, but I will actually see him perform yoga for us.
Welcome.
Manoj here is now through with his yoga. So what do we do next?
Well, why don't we just take a short break and then please join us for breakfast.
Oh, that would be my delight completely.
Thank you.
But days are usually not this peaceful because I would believe you begin very early and you also travel a lot. So how do you really strike this whole balance between, you know, work and office?
Well, you know, I don't think there's an easy answer on balance, and I personally believe that in our kind of businesses, work-life balance is a myth. You know, I feel sorry when I say that because we want to promote work-life balance, you know, for our employees and in general in the industry. But I think the right person to really answer is Kiran because...
And she just laughs at your answer, so I'm actually going to let her join in, ma'am. Let me just ask you here, you know, he travels about 3 to 4 times a week. He's hardly home during the week, you know, during the week when he's in Delhi. How do you cope up with that? Because you don't really travel with him. You know, you're not a full-time worker. Of course, we're going to come to your interests in life in just a while. How do you cope up with his absence? I mean, you know, what keeps you busy?
Basically the home and you know, I give him a lot of support in terms of I can't do much but making life comfortable for him and give him trying to make food and nutritious, and we make it a point to go for long walks and morning walks is a must for us.
See, Manoj does his work so effectively and is delivering on deadlines only because he has nothing to take care of at home. He's involved nonetheless, but really he has no worries he comes back to. So this is your study. We're going to have a look at what your family pictures are and the books that you read. I'm also going to speak to your wife about, you know, her interests in life. You did mention spirituality and stock markets. We're going to talk about that. But if the camera can just catch, this is the daughter. This is Radhika. She's right now in the US. Really, the love of their life. They completely adore her, like most parents would. But let me ask you here, Kiran, you completely clued on to the stock markets. The markets have never been better, 20,000 and going over. You're a happy person?
Absolutely, and I'm sure they'll climb further and India's doing well and we'll see new heights.
Let me ask you a question here. EMC, for instance, you know, when we talk about let the better person do the job, A company which is not listed has less pressures to work, is what most people believe. Is that a view you subscribe to?
Well, not necessarily. I think whether, I've worked for many, many different companies in my career. Some of them were listed at one point in time and then got listed later. I think the pressures are based on what you do for yourself as an organization and the pace that you set for yourself.
Do you usually go to office this early?
Yeah, and sometimes earlier, right? When we have meetings and so on and so forth.
That's right.
So for me, it's a regular day-to-day.
When we talk about EMC in India, you've been with the company for 4.5 years, really spearheaded its operations from the very beginning. Where do you see the company really go from here? Which is the next big target for you?
Well, if I just roll back about 4 years ago, one of the big challenges that we had was for the industry to really understand that information was important and storage as a technology was an important category within the IT firmament.
True.
And one of the things that we found at that point in time was tremendous amount of focus on technology and not on information, though we call it the information technology industry, but the focus was on the T. So the first thing was, how do we get the focus onto the I of IT?
That's right, that's right.
And therefore, I think we spent the first 3 years in terms of trying to help the market understand that information was critical. It was the foundation of helping organizations innovate. It is information.
True.
And therefore, we've spent the last 3-4 years in terms of helping create that category. And I think we've been very successful in being able to do that.
Let me just, I'm sorry to interrupt here, but let me ask you a question. As a category, information is a fairly new category.
Yes.
Not many people knew there could be a category in which you could do business perhaps and leverage it so much, but you've been able to do that as a company. As a viewer, let me ask you here as a layperson, why is information so critical, and what are companies really doing in your capacity to leverage that kind of opportunity?
I think if you look at information today, as the world is getting more and more digitized, there is no doubt in anyone's mind that if you cannot leverage your information assets, you cannot drive results. Let me give you an example. Today, information is growing at the rate of about 60-65%. In India, the amount of information that we have and that we've created in 2006,
that's right.
If we were to put it in the form of a stack of books and we were to try and push that stack inside the Qutub Minar, the height of the Qutub Minar would have had to be 2,000 feet. 2,000 feet. Right?
And we're talking about the big Indian corporates only. We're not talking about the smaller companies. We're not talking about the medium enterprises.
70-75% of new information is getting created by individuals. People like you and I on the road clicking photographs with our mobile phones as an example.
That's right.
So tremendous amount of information getting created by individuals, but organizations need to manage that information.
That's right.